Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Marvel Universe, the giant frost giant figure. I don't know what they're called anymore. This is the one that came with the Marvel Universe figure, the little guy, and then there's a big guy included. He's like Marvel Icons size. He actually uses a lot of the Icons Thor parts. But here he is. He's pretty awesome. He's technically Marvel Universe, but he's definitely a great piece to have in the Marvel Legends collection. He stands about 13 inches tall to the top of his head. A little bit shorter if you take his helmet off, but that's, just because of the helmet. There goes my phone. So he's pretty cool. Like I said, he uses some Thor parts, which was a good build. They had a lot of Icons figures that had really kind of crappy sculpts, I think. And the Thor one had good ones. And unless I'm crazy, these are the Thor arms, and I think the Thor legs. And I like those, so that's pretty cool. Like I said, he comes with the helmet. We'll look at that in a second. He also comes with an axe. We'll also look at that in a second at the end, because I don't want to look at those now. He's made of this blue, skinny, skin-colored paint. Not made of it, but colored with it. And it's really nice looking. They did some great shading on it, and it really emphasizes that he's a frost giant, not just some blue guy. The shading makes it look like ice, kind of. So that looks pretty cool. And they did a good job with the airbrushing. I like that a lot. Paintwork on the face is pretty solid. He's got some nice dark lines around his eyes. The red eyes really pop. And it's glossy for the eyes, so that's a really nice touch. The chin paintwork and the mouth and the nose ring are all painted really well. And the sculpt is pretty darn good. His little fur thing on his armor has some brown dry brushing, which looks like fur. And then it's got some like silvery dry brushing on top to make it look like there's frost on that. So that's cool. Then the armor, which is sculpted pretty well, has some nice detail painting and sculpting on there, so that's really nice. The fur thing continues down here, but there's no frost on it. Belt is painted pretty well. It's not as good as it could have been, but it's good enough. The bracers on his wrists are actually golden, so that's cool. Pants don't have any shading and they're kind of glossy, so I don't care for that, but you can kind of sell it off as being leather. I'm alright with that. Then we have some decent sculpt work down here and some decent dry brushing to look like wraps. And then he has toes, which are painted just like the hands and the skin, so it looks pretty cool. As far as articulation goes, the head has a swivel, not too much up and down though at all. He does have a little bit of an ab crunch. He leans back one notch, leans forward one notch, which is good enough. It makes him look like he's looking down at a smaller character, so that's cool. And then of course there's a waist twist, standard ball hinge shoulders with a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, a wrist swivel at the bracelet, and then individually articulating fingers and a wrist hinge. So pretty good batch of articulation. This hand only has the wrist hinge because he has to hold the axe, which is painted okay. It could have definitely used some dry brushing on the stone part. The wraps are painted okay, although there's still no dry brushing on any part of this. It's just a few solid colors. So it could have been a little bit better, I think. Unlike the axe, the helmet has tons of shading and it does look like bone, so that's really awesome. The tusk parts are different shade than the rest of the skull, so that looks really good. So the mix of the sculpt work and the paint work really makes this look awesome. They did a really good job with that. And although I do like the skull thing, I think he looks cooler with it off, just because it makes his head look really big, but it's still a nice accessory, so maybe have him holding it or something. That would be cool. And it is a softer material, so it's probably not going to scratch the figure too much. As far as hip articulation, he has wide jointed ball hinge hips. It is restricted, even though this is softer material, it's pretty stiff still, so there is a thigh swivel, so you can get the Y hinge to do what you need it to do, but you're not going to get a huge range of motion out of that. Double jointed knees, ankle pivot, and a slight ankle rocker, but not a whole lot, and no toe articulation. So for a big guy, he's pretty good as far as the articulation goes. He could be a little bit better, but definitely doesn't need any more. He definitely feels like a solid, complete figure as is. So I would definitely say I recommend you pick him up. Although, just like I said for the Doombot, if I upload the Doombot before this one, don't buy it in the next couple weeks because I'm going to be hunting one of these down. This is another borrowed figure because I never picked one up, but now I want it. So it's a good figure if I want to buy it. Although I buy a lot of crappy figures too, just for you guys. Alright, there it is guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.